So much for coming out. The first week back from vacation, I'm sure the rain was not a fun thing. I know most San Franciscans probably treat it like a snow day and just hide. Foglifter is so excited to come into 2018. We recently received a grant, and we are going to be, in 2018, doing someone's first chapbook. Yeah, which came out of a fun little competition we had back in December, Lucha Libro, and that is where we had 5 writers compete within a, not a steel cage, but I'll embellish it, within a boxing ring for the right to have their first book with us, and that's going to be coming out in the middle of the year. Our third volume, issue 1 of Foglifter, will be coming out sometime in March, April timeframe, and we are just finishing up this week and next week all the decisions on that, so we're super excited about that. I think I'll keep it light tonight so we can get to the readers and the discussion. I'm going to introduce everyone real quick, and then we can just kind of have them come up as it goes. The first person, I don't even know if I need this bio because I know a little too much about him. It's Maya Jeffra, co-founder of Foglifter. Maya's a native of Baltimore. He's gone to the California Institute of the Arts and Oglethorpe University. They have been awarded the New Millennium Fiction Prize, the Sidney Lanier Prize for Fiction, and the Clark Gross Novel Award. He is a finalist for the Arcadia Prize in Nonfiction and New Letters Fiction Prize. He's had fellowships from Lambda Literary and Ragdale, and residencies from Artiles, Redgate, and the Hub City Writers Project. Maya teaches writing, rhetoric, and cultural studies at Santa Clara University and San Francisco Art Institute. His collection of essays, which is for sale in the corner over there, is the First Church of What's Happening, and it's out by Nomadic Press. Please welcome Maya. Yay.
I've never done this before. I'm lifting it up. Maybe I should have done that. Shit.
That's how high.
Be ginger. Be ginger. Love it. Thank you all for being here on a Friday, on a wet day, because we know in California, it's like everyone has crisis and starts peeling off the road, panicking. So nice to see so many people here, and thanks to Alley Cat because they're an amazing bookstore. Please support them by buying books, not just ours, but their books. Let's keep them here because they have the best space. I'm going to read from the very first essay in the collection. It's called Growl. The rumble comes from deep in the throat, a low place, breath slow and soaked in the shaping of sound, a snarled pranayama. The chords fold and judder, their own capricious ring of fire. We never expect it. Our lips pull up in the way that we signal disgust or mimic singing a Motley Crue song. Our nostrils spread open in the scrunch, and the teeth, the canines specifically, reveal themselves in the snarl. And the sound of gravel, of rumble, of some force coming. Growl. You know, I don't want to read that one. I'm sorry. I'm going to read a different one. My bad. Sorry. Oh, I'm a diva. That was dumb. All right, I got something different. This is called How to Seduce a Tech Bro in 13 Easy Steps. Step 1, smile. Everyone would agree that a smiling person is far more approachable than a gloomy and surly one. Smile more often. It will make you seem easygoing and happy, which will draw him to you. But don't overdo the smiling by making it obvious. Step 2, sporadic eye contact. If you don't want him to think that you are too attracted to him, relax on the little staring game. Look, but always look away just as he looks at you. By doing that, he will never be sure if you are staring at him, especially because in that corner coffee shop where you both are buying your fair trade pour-overs, he might think you're looking at another white male donning Warby Parkers and a messenger bag between the age of 25 and 32, whose name is also Brian or Brad or Brent or Brock or Chet or Chip, but whose name would never be Cookie. When you use this little trick, a tech bro will start getting more and more curious about you. Step 3, flirt with him. The best way to flirt is by asking questions. It appears more sincere. Perhaps you see his t-shirt that advertises his startup. Ask him what the app does, how it benefits all of humanity. If the words evolve, progress, or revolutionary spill from his lips, you've got him. If all this fails, ask him about the hazing he had to endure in his fraternity. He'll dismiss this question at first with, "It was just a way to make friends at Stanford." But really, he is still a little embarrassed admitting that most of the workers at his job are Sigma Alpha Epsilons. Just make sure you follow up with your own frat horror story. You don't have one? Oh, you went to a state school. Well, make one up. But cease inquiry if his lip quivers, because that means he's not yet comfortable admitting to the after-party bro jobs where he was so fucked up to remember. Step 4, a little peekaboo. It's always strategic to reveal yourself just enough to your tech bro. Wear shorts that cover, yet provide great suggestion of your ass. Brief engagement of visual repetition also goes a long way. We are creatures of myth, acolytes of serendipity. Seeing you at several of the same 15-minute, $3,500 junior one-bedroom open houses in the Mission, adjacent to bomb-ass burrito joints, and a Google bus stop will get him thinking, kismet. And just before you leave, tell him you can make out the outline of his cock through his beige chinos. Step 5. On December 20th, 2013, an unnamed dissenter hurled a rock at a Google bus in Oakland during a routine protest, shattered the window. 3 of the passengers suffered cuts across their faces. The Chronicle determined this action to be the fever pitch of growing disparity between the rich and poor in the Bay Area. Karl Marx was quoted in the SF Gate in response to the action, quote, "Only with great violence comes change," end quote. As a result of the action, Google lost approximately $2,400 in work hour productivity. All of the passengers eventually went to work. The bus window was fixed. No one quit their Google job. The protesters, part of the anarchist artist group Counterforce, claimed, quote, "It's not personal, it's political." And Jonah Wilson, a resident who witnessed the action, claimed, quote, "Ain't nobody got time for that." Step 6, unexpected touches. This is important if there is already mutual attraction. Lightly grazing his knee or his lexicon is key to sealing the deal. Mention API, GUI, BAP, CDMA, VC, especially because you're a woman and/or person of color that hasn't immigrated from East Asia, and he'll be surprised as much as impressed. Mention that you felt people were too harsh on Justin Keller, who was just voicing what all of us were thinking. I mean, why wouldn't any wealthy working people living in San Francisco want to see pain, struggle, and despair of homeless people to and from their way to work every day, right? Step 7, don't throw yourself at him. It's good to keep him guessing just a bit. Just as he tells you how his startup is changing the world, remind him that Dumpster, the app he designs informing when friends are taking a shit, isn't really fostering interactivity in instances of need. When he tells you how his colleagues are the world's 21st century's artists, tell him that art is the conduit between humanity and the sublime, and that while a certain sublimation is involved in discussions of user experience, the irony does not escape you. Step 8. I was in love with a boy named Chris Cortina in high school. He was densely sandy-haired, full-lipped, big-eyed. He listened to REM and Operation Ivy and drew celestial figures across the grids of his geometry notebook, organic loops betraying rigid lines. His ass filled a pair of shorts like 2 planets. We hung out in his room all night interpreting Tool's Psalm 69. He cried about our shared mortality over my lap and a bottle of Mad Dog. But when I leaned in to love him, to really love him with the length of me, he pushed away, denied the kiss in our history, left the circle we had drawn amidst a grid. With the silence came my fury. A week after the refusal, I keyed the body of his Honda and gutted his tires with a steak knife. Step 9. Sympathize with him. It must be so hard to be a tech bro, where everyone demonizes your existence. You're blamed for gentrification, for sterilizing formerly dynamic city centers into consumer-driven cultural wastelands, for displacing blue-collar workers and artists. But this is a free market economy, right? Just because tech bros were clever enough to get themselves an education, work hard, and land a six-figure job doesn't mean they are required to buy art, or go to the theater, or attend readings. This is neoliberal America. Why blame them just because they prefer to spend their hard-earned money where they like, at bars with mint-flavored ice cubes, and restaurants with repurposed communal wood tables and CrossFit classes? They have the right to spend their money wherever they want, right? The free market economy is a virtue, like obeying your parents or neutering your pets. It's not tech bros' fault that artists aren't clever enough to get people to buy their stuff. Maybe they should launch a Kickstarter. If they would just evolve or plug into progress, then artists might not have such a bad go of it. Innovate or evaporate, dude. That's what Daniel Pink says. You know Daniel Pink? A real thinker, that Daniel Pink. Do y'all know who that is? Fucker. Step 10. Imagine the frustration of that protester. The one who was so incensed by the rent hikes, by the displacement of the poor, by the white supremacy, by Atlas shrugging all over Market Street, by the injustice, that upon sight of the rock's crude heft, the vulnerability of the thin glass, felt compelled to pick up and throw it, to exact harm somewhere. But where exactly? Anyone more specific than merely beyond themselves? Step 11. Ignore him just enough to want you more. Allow for desire to bellow as you deflate the balloon of his self-importance. Make him check and recheck his I am, fidgeting at the ergonomic desk in his favorite co-working space, called work or space. And when he asks why you haven't FaceTimed him before lunch, remind him that this is a free market economy, right? You can choose who to buy and when. Step 12. Convince him to move to Wichita or Providence. Why not? Why the fuck not? I mean, who needs place when we are all progressing towards an interconnected reality? Aren't we all the pages of the whole Earth catalog? Step 13. Step 13. Think about Charlottesville. One group feels they have been disenfranchised by the self-righteous. The other group feels they need to quell the rise of a destructive force. Who is who? Well, perhaps that question illustrates a larger problem than either group attempts to resolve. This list is obviously banking on you being angry, dear reader. Maybe you're nodding to some of these jabs at the tech bro. Maybe you're laughing out loud, thinking, snap. Maybe you're even seething. Have you figured out why yet? Think about what lists do, how they whittle complexities to taglines, to BuzzFeed articles, to Twitter handles, how they whittle our integrity, how they carve us into singularity, how they take away our multitude, how they are born of refusal. It's so much easier to exact fury on the individual than a complex, on a group than a system. Artists will tell you that our eyes require a focal point to locate within the entire field of vision. Activists are trained to know this. They could tell us this. The point? We want our shared mortality to be felt. That rock on the Google bus windshield insisted, you will die too, don't think you won't. But to no one who could hear, not at that moment anyway. The cracking of glass, the violence, was all that anybody heard. Step 14. I know. The magazine you're reading promised 13. But there is always another and another if we are walking nowhere. These steps are not dedicated travel. Progress is never a formula, and only fulfills itself when it's aware of what it affects. Where is the awareness in this? Say this to your tech bro. Say the word formula. Watch to see if his lip quivers. Step 14 could also be, don't throw rocks at Google buses. Or it could be, listen to one another. Listen. And that's the only step really to secure a tech bro, to secure a prom queen, to secure Peter in finance, to secure the grumbling poet, the fixie rider, the hair dryer, the hordes of looking lovers, to secure anything akin to justice. Listen. You'll be surprised what that level of willingness and generosity reveals to you about us all. And smile. Make it as obvious as you can. Thank you.
Thank you there, Maya. I do have to say, the way I secured my husband was dressing up in chainmail. So
Is he a tech bro?
he's not.
What's the point?
I feel like there's an intersectionality between chainmail and tech, if World of Warcraft is involved. Our next greeter is Arisa White. She is a Dave Cannon Fellow, Sarah Lawrence College alumna, an MFA graduate from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and author of the poetry chapbooks Disposition for Shininess, Postparting, and Black Pearl. Published by Virtual Artist Collective, her debut full-length collection, Hurrah's Nest, was a finalist for the 2013 Wheatley Book Awards, 82nd California Book Awards, and nominated for 44th NAACP Image Awards. Her second collection, A Penny Saved, inspired by the true life story of Polly Mitchell, was published by Willow Books, an imprint of Aquarius Press, in 2012. Her newest collection, which is in this store and you can purchase, is You're the Most Beautiful Thing That Happened, and was published by Aubrey Books. Please welcome Arisa White.
So this thing doesn't go up.
Oh. Maybe it does.
Or the tech bro when you need him.
I'm not good at technology.
All right.
That's why you're seducing.
The UI on this. Sorry.
That's good. I think, yeah. No, I'm just getting offended by it in my face. Okay. So I'm going to read two kind of long pieces, poems that are in parts. So You're the most beautiful thing that happened was inspired by my friends asking me to write a gay book. So this is my gay book.